fuck with the Chuck.
Oh my God.
Hey everybody, we're back with another Fiend Cave podcast.
With the Fiend Film Club.
We decided we're going to call these the Fiend Film Club. This will be episode 2, unless I lose it, like I'm infamous for, or I delete it. So we're working on episode 2 of that, trying some different things. It's a lot of fun. Basically watching some cheesy B-rated horror films that definitely underground, not a lot of people have seen.
Right. The key is A, it's got to be something that not everybody's seen. And B, it can't be a great movie.
Right.
We're not gonna, we're not gonna throw a Lawrence of Arabia or something, or
or a Casablanca,
or Aliens,
or an Aliens. Oh God, see, dude, it's not even 5 minutes into it. We already got an Alien.
We haven't even introduced the guest, and I'm already talking about Aliens.
Yeah, we haven't even. Introduced
this is how it
the
starts.
Guest. Yeah.
So
we got a cool guest with us. Let him kind of introduce himself and kind of tell him a little bit about himself and all that good stuff.
I'm Aaron Martin. I'm the writer and director of Atomic Zombie Space Creeps, cinematographer and editor for Zombie Babies from Hell. Just a huge fan of crappy movies because that's what I make.
Oh yeah.
It's a sin that he has not been here for more of our shenanigans. I'm glad that he's on the second episode of the Fiend Film Club, just because this was catered to him. He didn't mention, but Atomic Space Creeps is available on Amazon at this point.
Yep, just became available the weekend that we're recording this.
Amazon?
Amazon.
Now I'm gonna play stupid, and I probably already know the answer to this, but I'm gonna play stupid and ask this. So if you have Prime, will you have access to it and be able to watch it?
Right now, if you have Prime, you can order the DVD for the 2-day shipping.
Okay.
Because streaming isn't going to be available for another 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay. Well, that's still pretty close though.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Yeah, because we have Prime and we use it. So
it should. You should be able to watch it on Amazon right around Halloween.
Hell yeah!
Perfect.
Right on. Yeah, that'll be awesome.
It's going to be popping up on. There'll be a couple free channels on Roku that'll be available on.
Hell yeah.
Vimeo on demand is actually getting ready to finalize, so that should be within a week or 2.
Hell yeah.
You know what we
It's a slow rollout, but it's coming.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, what we should do for the film club? It just popped in my head. We should watch Atomic Space Creeps and then do a film club of it.
Oh.
And we can have Aaron and Blake, who's in it, who's his roommate. They can be there while we're critiquing it and talking about it. It'd be perfect.
I like it. I'm down for pretty much anything.
It's a good movie. I've watched it twice now, but I think we'd have a good time with it.
Oh yeah. So we'll have a good time, get some snacks and watch it.
Absolutely.
I'm down for it.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Sign up and down for it.
Set that up.
And
live commentary, live TV commentary.
There you go.
And it's we Mystery Science Theater the shit out of stuff, even though we love it.
Yeah.
Like Aliens, we'll still Mystery Science Theater the shit out of it.
Yeah. For the most part.
One of those things, but...
Anyway, but the movie we did today, like I said on the last one, even though we enjoy it, we still critique and talk to the screen, do everything that you should do in a bad horror movie.
Oh yeah, well, especially when you have your buddies over, you're always talking about it.
The fun of a bad horror movie is that just like the characters in the movie, sometimes the audience has to survive it.
Oh yeah, this is true. How much longer is this of this movie?
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen bad, I've seen good, bad.
Sure.
I'm proud of the fact that so far we've only watched good, bad. So
yeah, well, let's try and keep it that way.
Yeah.
I suppose. I don't know. I mean, we've had good choices so far. Well, we've only done 2 movies, well, 3 if you count this one, but...
Right. And I mean, Aaron can attest, there were some times where we would just go through, he has what he calls the archive, which is just...
Sure.
Sci-fi, horror, you name it, and we just go through, some of his sets, and, some days it was wow, that was a hidden gem, and then sometimes it was I want my $5 back. It's like, you didn't pay any money for this. I don't care. I want $5.
I just want $5 right off the bat.
I want 2 hours of my life.
Pretty much. You know, there are some of those movies.
Another little, before we get big into it, Aaron and I used to live together, and one of the things I used to love was, I think it was like Sunday afternoons, we had what was called closed curtain theater, where we would watch.
This doesn't sound good already. I'm
Well,
just saying.
we would watch movies like House at the Edge of the Park, or I Spit on Your Grave. Like, it was movies that were horror, but they also had lots of nudity. So it was like, we were always afraid some kid would walk by from the neighborhood and just happen to be glancing in. So we called it closed curtain theater.
Closed.
Again, there were some gems. Night Evelyn came out of her grave.
Yes, by far.
Cannibal Holocaust, I think, was in that.
Wow.
I do have a soft spot for A House on the Edge of the Park. Like, it's basically just softcore porn with some violence sprinkled in there. But it's like an exercise in survival. It's like I had said before, like about like a good horror film. Sometimes the audience has to survive it.
Sure.
House on the Edge of the Park is one of those movies where the audience, like, it just becomes so grueling to watch that you yourself have to survive it.
Right.
Shoot, for some reason I'm spacing. Wes Craven, his movie that he got famous for before Nightmare, before
You're talking about
Last House
on the Left,
yeah,
would be one of these movies. But the whole thing
yeah.
is that I think House at the Edge of the Park is superior to.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, first off, it has more interesting characters and
from a technical standpoint, I would almost go so far as to say the director and the director of photography of House on the Edge of the Park was kind of sucking Stanley Kubrick's dick, because there was a lot of beautiful photography.
You can already see I'm gonna have to put the parental advisory sticker on this.
We're fine with it.
No, yeah, okay.
It's all good. But that's an excellent movie. That would be a good one for our list too. I think we'll get Richard to watch that because we've both seen it. But yeah.
No, okay. So question: when you say they have to survive with the movie, I don't know if you're fans of these movies, so I'm gonna shoot them out here. What about the Hostel movies? Since they consider them kind of torture porn, it's kind of like you're surviving. Like, what they're doing to them. It's become
something of a genre in and of itself. But that's almost exactly what House on the Edge of the Park is torture porn. And I think that's kind of Eli Roth. I think that's kind of one of those things that he watched movies like that, like I Spit on Your Grave and things like that, growing up.
Yeah, and you can tell
has influenced his work.
Yeah.
I've only seen the first Hostel. I was not overly impressed by it.
Sure.
I can appreciate where he was going with it.
He has, the cool thing about it is he pays homage. Like in the first one, he has I can't think of the guy's name. He's a Japanese director. Audition and
I know who you're talking about.
Takashi Miike?
Yeah, there you go. He was in the first one. He did a little cameo. Second movie, the director of Cannibal Holocaust, which is his all-time favorite movie. He did so he pays homage to it, and
like Green Inferno was like his kind of Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, exactly, and straight up.
Cannibal Holocaust. I just read something on Facebook. One of the clickbait sites and posted something about how Cannibal Holocaust had like no redeeming quality to it, and it was like, did we watch the same movie?
Right, exactly.
Because even though it's grueling, and like the animal torture part of it, which like the DVD set that came out, like you can watch it one without the animal cruelty and one with.
Oh, they took it out?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It is grueling to watch, but it makes a very loud statement about cultural conflict and about how one culture can just sort of overpower another one without intent, or even with intent, with malice.
Yeah.
You start out this movie thinking like these kids went into the jungle and these savages just killed them and
sure, they're the villains, the bad guys.
They're the bad guys, and then when you start to get through the movie, you start to realize it's the other way around.
Right.
And that says a lot about Western culture.
The whole thing about Cannibal Holocaust I always loved is that anytime you watch it, if you're with a group of people that have never seen it before, you're going to spend a good hour to 3 hours afterwards just discussing it.
Right.
Because it's not something that somebody goes, oh, this is gross, and then they walk out.
No, and that is the mark of a good movie.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a wow factor. Yeah, it's still up there for me. It's still
absolutely.
And when I still watch it, it's still kind of it is the animal parts.
Sure.
And a few other things, but yeah, it's still it makes me uneasy still watching that. But that's a good thing, though. The movie can still has that power to do.
But unfortunately, we're not talking about cannibal.
This is true. Hold on, let's talk about aliens.
Let's talk about aliens.
Or aliens.
Or aliens. We're actually going to tonight. We watched 1980s Nightmare City. It's an Italian film directed by Umberto Lenzi, an Italian director. He's only done a few films I'm familiar with. He just passed 3 days ago, I believe. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so this is what we watched. It's on Shudder. I'm going to give a shout out to Shudder again, because that'd be awesome if I could at least get a free subscription to it.
Let's get subscriptions all around here. Come on. We've been watching a lot of movies lately.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome. They've got a lot of good stuff. But yeah, I just watched it on a fluke one day. It's interesting. It's entertaining. Definitely not a great movie, but not a terrible movie at the same time.
Entertaining. I would say it's entertaining.
It's a movie to be survived.
Yes.
There you go. As we were just speaking of.
It definitely has lots of moments where you either go, what the fuck? Or you're like, okay, that was kind of cool.
I saw a few of the moments where it's like, okay, I got to rewind this. It's too funny. Laughing my ass off, Just like some of the makeup and stuff in it.
Oh, yeah.
Just like the staring looks and.
Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and try to get really metaphysical about it, but because I've seen it before, I'll kind of do the synopsis, and these two will kind of cue in when something comes up. But again, it's on Shudder. It's pretty easy to find a copy of. Again, 1980s. It was right around the craze of. The Italians just kind of went apeshit once, Romero did Night and Dawn, and just tried to ape it as much as possible. So you had your Lucio Fulcis, your Vincent Dons, and they basically are really, really super gory, super violent, not much of a story. And this is kind of goes along that, but... it does a few things a little different. First off, we're not dealing necessarily with zombies. They're more like irradiated vampires almost. Yeah,
and that threw me off a little bit, but I'm glad that they went that route rather than just these are zombies, this turned them, it's just so easy to go that route.
They were using tools they would pick up machine guns, which was frightening to me.
Sure, it's okay, a zombie can't do that unless you're Bub, I guess, but...
Sure.
There was something that we were talking about while we were watching the movie about the way that the science that they explain behind how the infection works.
Yeah.
Because these people are heavily irradiated, it kills red blood cells in the body, just like if you were going through chemotherapy. And that was why they were vampiric, because they were trying to replace the blood in their bodies as the radiation was destroying their bodies. My argument against the whole radiation thing is as you're passing radioactive material from one medium to another, eventually it diminishes, and
sure,
at some point the zombie attack or these monsters attacking wouldn't infect another person. Is the inverse square law eventually?
It would be it would die
degrade
off
so bad there would be
so
nothing.
Their biology was spot on. I think their chemistry was off a bit, but
so it makes you wonder if maybe the screenwriter at some point maybe he had some good science ideas and then he just kind of went, well, that's kind of cool. Well, fuck this, I'm still doing a zombie movie.
Right.
So
well, we can't make a movie where it just dies off all of a sudden. It's
right.
That'd be the ending,
So yeah, I understand. But yeah, the whole thing that I've said a few times when Richard and I have watched Demons or Demons 2 is the best way to watch some of these Italian movies is to picture it as a nightmare. Especially with Dario Argento stuff, he always said that he gets most of his ideas from nightmares he's had. So it's not necessarily a cohesive movie as much as you got to picture it as something you would deal with in a nightmare. And honestly, it goes with the title, Nightmare City.
Yeah.
It really it's kind of bizarre. Things kind of happen like out of the blue, and it feels like it would be like in a nightmare. I've said in a previous podcast, you have a dream where one person's perfectly fine and you're talking to them, you look away and you look back and suddenly like they're missing an arm or like pandemonium's going on. It got kind of the feel of that in this movie. It kind of
definitely random.
You
would say.
Like the attacks, it seemed like at some points it's like, just don't open a door anymore, because as soon as you open a door, somebody's going to come out and kill you.
Like in the like when they were doing surgery, the scene they were doing surgery, so don't open the goddamn door.
Right, as soon as one of the
boom, and
doctors
then there's like, they run in.
But anyway, I guess the best way to really go, I'll start with a synopsis kind of. Basically, we start on two newscasters, a guy and his cameraman are basically just hanging out and basically hear like a news report that there's a plane coming in to an airport that's not answering to the airport, and it's a cargo hauler. Basically comes down, and they go to meet it on the tarmac, and the military are all standing there because nobody's answering. They can't see the pilots in the windows, and keep going, and all of a sudden the doors open, and just the best I could describe are just guys that look like somebody went, okay, makeup's gonna be like if you were a human meatball. Just
pretty much
brownish.
If you kind of got deep fried, but you weren't finished.
Yeah.
Burnt hot dog.
Hot dog.
And then
also,
you had to run off. That's what you'd be.
You know what I mean? The scary thing is the first guy is like holding the hatchet. So I mean,
right.
He immediately just runs out and cuts somebody's throat with it. And it just immediately, like, well-armed, possibly well-trained military guys all standing there with machine guns are cut down in mere moments as these guys just come hauling out.
Right.
Just, it kind of works on the nightmare thing, because they're just emptying their clips into guys and they're just not even reacting to it, which is typical because nobody's going for a headshot, which... I mean, that's another thing that I have to comment. This movie would only exist in the 80s. We were reading that there's a remake being made, and it's like...
With Savini.
Yeah, Savini's supposedly directing.
Yeah.
It's like a movie like this cannot work because in the 70s and 80s, people weren't so oversaturated with zombie films to know, shoot it in the head.
Right.
So it was more believable then that, like, they do a bunch of, like, center mass shots because that's what everybody was trained in the military and police.
Well,
and even now the military is trained center mass shots or even aim low.
Sure.
Because the weapon will pick up, or if you hit the ground, ricochet will inevitably hit somebody in the legs or the chest.
Right.
So very rarely is anybody trained to shoot at the head.
Right, and I understand that, but at the same time, also just with popular culture, The Walking Dead, everything, like people, if they encountered someone like stumbling around, or again, meatball head with a hatchet.
Right.
I'm sorry, if I had a gun, my immediate thought would be shoot it in the head.
Right.
Like, oh, you're not. Like, boom.
And of course, this movie shows that they're emptying full clips into a guy and nothing's happening.
Nothing. Yeah. And also, if they made this movie today, it would be so bad. It would be, dare I say, worse than this was. And it's like, I like this movie. For as bad as it is, I liked it. But it would be so bad, because they would try to make it so serious. Like, look what they did to Texas Chainsaw and all of them, where it's like, okay, we got to vamp it up, where it's like...
Sure.
Make it scarier, it's like... And it loses, it's...
Shake the camera more.
Right, there you go.
The next part in this movie that really stands out in my head is that we suddenly go back to the newscaster and the cameraman leave before they can get slaughtered.
Let's get out of here.
They head back to the like TV station, and the best way I can describe this scene, and I said it while we were watching it, is like, everybody's so nostalgic for the 80s and how great the 80s were and how awesome and cool they were. This scene shows you everything that was not cool about the 80s.
Oh my god!
It was all these like girls in blue unitards like prancing around horribly at some like dance show.
Well, it was girls and then it was guys too.
There were guys there too.
Yeah, there were banana hammocks and chicks.
Oh. Yeah, and
it
just like, oh,
the music's not good.
Yeah.
The women aren't really into it.
And the thing that you were joking about, or which one of you was joking about, like the newscaster just walks onto the sound stage like nothing happened, watches the girls for a few minutes, and then goes and tells them that they need to break in with a special report.
That's right. That's right.
And the thing is what he just went through. Like, it was like 4 or 5 minutes worth of just pure violence, like people being torn to shreds and like gunfire just spraying everywhere. That is something that would make even a hardened veteran cringe. Like, hardened battle veterans would cause them pause. And this dude just walks in to watch a couple of chicks in a unitard without blinking.
I think that kind of harkens back to the nightmare thing. Like, in a dream, you do that kind of weird shit.
Right.
Like, I just saw 15 people ripped apart. Oh, chicks in unitards.
I was going to say, he probably is like getting ready to run in there with every intention, like, oh my God, the redcoats are coming, that sort of thing, or whatever. And then it's like, hey. And then he's like, watching, his head's like tilted upside down to the side. Oh yeah, I got a newscast.
Of course the military's in on it, and they cut the newscast as he goes and like tries to warn everybody because it's the government. Of course they're going to do that.
Right.
And of course some jackass. Well, again, a really funny scene is the guy's just like standing on the sidelines watching these girls dancing.
He really
just happens to like look in the corner of his eye and just happens to notice one of the girls laying there with a like throat cut, staring at him. Like, you wouldn't notice that.
You wouldn't notice that she was missing from the dancing.
Right.
I was like, one, two.
Right. Exactly.
None of those catty women at once would be like, well, at least that bitch is gone. Like, not a single one of them said anything. Like,
just go with it. Come on.
Of course, as soon as he notices the girl, there's the meatball head with a knife, like ready to cut him.
It's like right off the bat. He's like, ugh.
Again, like a dream. Like, as long as you don't make, I bet that if it was a dream, if he hadn't said anything or even like acted nonchalant, Meatball Head wouldn't attack him.
He would have just like saw him and kept walking, maybe, or something. He might have laughed.
Just does the like, I'm watching you.
Got the axe, like, and just about
get you later.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, there's some really gratuitous, like, because of course the meatheads come in and start killing the girls, but they're, like, one girl just happens to get her unitard ripped open, and then, like, guy cuts one of her boobs off. There's a lot of nudity in this, by the way.
I was just going to say, there's a lot of boobies in it. Just say straight up, there's a lot of cleavage.
And to speak of the boobie getting cut off, there are some pretty good makeup effects for being an awful movie. Like, there's some like
that's where their budget went.
Yeah, that's where their budget went. Not to the meatball heads.
Well, there's a lot of them. So
right.
They had to fill a crowd of meatball heads.
Right.
Some of the kills and some of the violence, like her breast getting cut off, was a pretty good effect. It was,
yeah, absolutely.
It was pretty well done. And later on, somebody gets jabbed in the face.
The eye was pretty good.
Was really good.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times what happens this happened with Zombie Babies from Hell, the prosthetic on the actress's face, working in the summer heat, even at night, like the spirit gum would start to come undone, the makeup would start to fall loose from her face and whatnot. This guy is jamming this poker into this actress's face, and there's an appliance on her face. And you can see, like, the force as he's, like, pushing it, like, pushing the makeup. So it looks like it's, like, shoving the flesh around on her face.
Mm-hmm.
But the makeup doesn't break. Like, it stands up. And so, like, as crappy as this movie can get, like, as crappy as Nightmare City can get, makeup effects like that really stand out because they stand up well.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason that this is still considered, a cult classic. I mean, there had to be something to it.
Sure. Sure.
Another thing I really enjoy is just the fact that, again, kind of like a nightmare, this is obviously the newscaster's nightmare. He's our main character because, again, we talked about, like, soldiers just getting wiped out, all these news people just getting ripped apart, all these unitard girls, like, nothing. Meanwhile, this guy's like, oh crap, I gotta get out of here and find my wife. And he's just like drop kicking them left and right, throwing TVs at them, blowing up.
He's like the Rambo of like the movie.
Yeah,
He seriously
again,
is.
but it's like a dream though. Like you kind of like become kind of the id of the story.
Sure,
Just
sure.
like you're the main character, so you're gonna have more power than just like this guy that's just on scene to get.
You're the hero.
And maybe to drop some AP English in there real quick, it's very easy to say that the movie could in and itself be, because the Italians love allegory in their stories. It could be an allegory for impotence.
It very well could be.
You think about he is incapable of stopping the military from taking over the TV station. He's incapable when he's on the air and trying to warn the public. He's incapable of finishing the warning. He's incapable of saving his wife. He is incapable of keeping her out of harm's way time and time again. That theme continually goes where he's just trying to be a man and continually being cock-blocked.
And again, it goes with the
you
whole...
can't finish.
It would be a nightmare for this person. Yeah, absolutely. So in that, this works perfectly as a movie. Like, I get... if that's what they were going for. At some points, though, I have to... Point. I don't know if that's what they went for, though. If they did, hey...
I don't, but, like... You look at kind of the allegories in Mario Bava's movie. It's like, a lot of those are considered gore porn, but even them, they have a moral to the story. There's a sort of a subtext to his movies. And
absolutely.
Like, the Italians may not be very good at spinning a tale, they may not be good at stringing a plot together, but they're good at making a point. And I think maybe that's what... Like, that's why this newscaster, like, his story is playing out the way it is, because it's sort of like, because he's an older man, like, he's trying and
he's
failing.
Like in his 40s. He's not anything to look at. He's got like a full beard. You know, he's not your action hero type. Like, you don't look at him and go, okay, I can see this guy being our main character. You honestly look at him and be like, really, this is our main character? Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Because by this point, by the 80s, I mean, we've already had guys like Clint Eastwood and shit like that coming out. Like, the action hero has been defined.
Sure.
And this guy is no action hero, but
yet he does pull off some pretty heroic and like intensely like, wow, that was kind of badass moments.
Sure.
Again, getting back to the plot, so he gets away and he's trying to get to the hospital where his his wife is performing surgery because she's a doctor, or she's helping perform surgery, as you know, the military's trying to keep this all under wraps and controlled, and of course it's not working.
Never does.
He gets to the hospital and, you know, saves her barely. People just getting killed left and right. Doesn't save anybody. Like, he gets her, that's about it. Again, kind of going with that nightmare motif, though. It's like, just people die around you, and you're just like, fuck this, I'm getting out of it.
Right. Manages to save her, though, you know.
Yeah.
Gets her out, you know.
But again, like Aaron was saying, it's like he does, but, you know, everywhere they go to kind of, like, find refuge, it's not good, and they almost like, die.
Fuck. Here, too?
Yeah.
I like how they hide in American land.
Yeah.
It's America land. Like, they stop at a gas station, and the gas station has Elvis Presley stuff on the wall.
Yeah, the Elvis, there's the Coca-Cola on the wall.
There's a I'm showing my age. I kept wanting to call it a Victorola or something. But, there's a jukebox.
The jukebox.
But like, there's a sign on the wall, like outside, advertising hamburgers and stuff. Italians are not like really known for their hamburgers.
No, generally.
And then they escape to an amusement park of all places, and the amusement park in and of itself has a lot of American themed stuff on it.
Right.
And it's just like it's like almost like they're like escaping to America land. Like,
yeah. That's an interesting, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it is true. I mean, yeah, like the gas station, it had all kinds of, you know, all kinds of stuff. And
again, we get this, like, he that's where he really kind of shines as an action hero. He's like fighting these hundreds with grenades. And
dude, he's trying, you know. He's
taking out quite a bit. Like, there were times where I was just like, damn, this guy's kind of badass.
Making cocktails and throwing it at the car and shit.
Oh, yeah. That was probably one of the best parts of the movie right there.
That's when it started. For me, I thought it started like, okay, you know, here we go, it's starting to kick up a notch. So
And his so-called surgeon wife, like he's just like, get some rags or something so we can make this cocktail.
Right.
And she's behind a bar. You've got bar rags. You've got napkins.
Yeah.
You've got like this stupid coat that she just found that she could tear up, and she goes to like some pillow stuffing, like some fluffy pillow stuffing, and they use that as the wick. What the hell, woman?
I know. It literally looked like it was like ripped up toilet paper or something. I was like, what?
Just in the time we see her as a doctor, I just don't. I just know if she was my doctor, I would probably check her out and then ask for a second opinion at all times.
Is this your expert opinion? Okay, I'm going over there.
Like, if I was in her hospital, with my luck, she would amputate the wrong arm.
You passed with a D, didn't you?
Yeah, pretty much. Skimmed her by.
You were the professor's favorite, weren't you?
Oh.
There were the comment was made as we watched. There were quite a bit of attractive ladies in this.
Yeah, there was nothing short of that.
And of course, they all got horribly killed at some point.
Well, of course. I mean, that's a rule in a horror movie, right? I mean, even if it is back then and innovated and foreign.
The Italians, much more. Like they just.
Well, it was brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meatball head with the axe coming after you.
There was a kill that did not happen in the movie. That, speaking of the hospital and all the carnage, I was fully expecting little Timmy laying in the bed with his injured leg from soccer.
Yeah.
Oh,
to get his leg just like amputated and eaten. Like
you're waiting for that
because
he's like, I had a nightmare where I lost my leg. It's like, oh, you're getting your leg eaten, dude.
Yeah.
Don't worry, they're coming.
This is gonna happen. This crap has to happen. You put the gun on the mantle in the first act. Somebody better pull that sucker down and pull the trigger by the third.
Right.
And instead, all we get is little Timmy laying in bed with a little bit of blood drooling out of his mouth.
It makes you wonder if maybe that scene was like planned, and they just were like, "Well, we got other shit to do. We don't really have the money for it, so just put some blood in his mouth. He got killed."
Just running late on
schedule. Well, and then also, it probably does. This rule probably doesn't apply for them for Italian horror. But a lot of times in horror films, like, it's taboo to kill the kid.
Well,
that's a gray area. It really is.
That's the whole reason we created the Biker Warrior Babe versus the Zombie Babies from Hell. So that we could have an excuse to kill kids in a movie.
Right. I was going to say, because they do that.
Babies.
And the only thing
it makes everybody uncomfortable.
The only thing I'll say about that, though, is that little Timmy is like, he's got a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow going. Little Timmy is more like 19-year-old Timmy.
A little bit older Timmy.
Needs to use deodorant, Timmy. Maybe likes the nurses a little too much.
Wrap that weasel while you're at it, Timmy.
Shit.
But yeah, the Italians are not known for shying away from killing children.
Oh yeah.
As can be, like we were watching for a few minutes, Hell of the Living Dead. The kid was getting machine gunned for a good
well, there you go.
2 minutes.
So that's
yeah. They don't really care.
Yeah.
Like it's not like in America. It's like you can't kill the kid.
Night of the Living Dead.
Oh my God! They killed children.
Night of the Living Dead did. Dawn of the Dead. If you remember, there's the scene at the airport. Those kids get machine gun butt good.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it never happens, but America does have a bit of like a we can't do that sort of thing.
Yeah. But yeah, we're a little bit more sensitive to that stuff.
Sure.
It's just like it's a horror film. All bets should be off.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's like the tradition in the late 90s with the disaster movies that were coming out.
Oh, God.
Independence Day being an example, and Dante's Peak.
Dante's Peak,
Dante's
yes.
Peak where the dog survives. Like, the dog always lives.
Dog always lives, mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it was...
Yeah, because Independence Day, the dog, just barely escapes it.
Yeah. Well, and then you just got, like, kind of those weird movies, like, I don't know if everybody remembers Fear with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The only part of that movie I remember is they had this really beautiful German Shepherd, and at one point, the little boy calls the German Shepherd, and you see the head come through the doggy door, and you're like, oh, he's okay, and then the head just falls. He
falls in there,
head off, and you're like, oh!
Yeah,
it's about the only really great part of that movie.
that movie was it was something else. Mark Wahlberg, he played a good psycho in that. Marky Mark, yeah. Before he became
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg in Transformers, or
whatever
the other stuff.
But Yeah.
Or Dirk Diggler in Boogie Nights.
I was happy though that at one point you do see a cat and you never see that cat get skinned or anything horrible.
We see a cat twice because we saw it later on, and we were wondering, it's like, okay, is that the same cat that they're using, the same extra?
It's just the same cat.
Yeah, there was the pool side in the backyard, and honestly, the movie was so low budget, I thought maybe it was just a cat straight across the shot, and they just
Fuck it, let's keep him in.
Keep him in.
Hey,
we don't have the budget to refilm this.
My kitty cats are in both movies.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Because they've snuck into the shots. Like in Space Creeps, Nicodemus and Chloe both ended up clawing or sitting on the green screen while we were shooting the bridge scenes.
Oh, nice.
And like I had to composite them out, but like they were in there somewhere. Like
That's awesome.
Zombie Babies from Hell. Some of the CG work that I was doing, they ended up in just kind of like background filler.
That's awesome.
But yeah. That's why I thought that cat was just in there, is because the cat wandered across the shot and it was good enough, so they just kept it.
Just keep going. Yeah, it's fine. There'd be a cat there. Okay.
But I think it might be the same cat that was.
It's got to be. I mean, I'm not just saying that because it was the same color.
Wink and a nod to the audience, like, hey, this is a dream.
Yeah,
it could be. Yeah,
right. Exactly.
I mean, that would be kind of cool.
There was kind of a trick that we did with the Space Creeps. It was like that, and I know you haven't seen the movie yet, but the glass at the beginning, the tiki glass.
Yeah.
The tiki glass pops up every now and again.
Okay. Now I want to watch it again just so I can see that.
Huh. That's cool.
Going back to Nightmare City, we were talking about the cat. I just, for some reason, because it was those characters that were in the pool, like later on, they don't listen to the government. The army's like, hey, you need to go, here. And they're like, screw this. We got the weekend off. We're going out. And of course, don't listen. They go out and they're like waiting on the other couple to show up. Mm-hmm. I thought it was actually kind of cool. They're like, oh, cool, they're here. Everything's fine. They get out. They're infected and just basically harpoon guns the guy. Like,
oh yeah, that's right.
That's somebody in the makeup department's like, hey, I got this harpoon gun. You want to put this in? Yes. Like,
what kind of? It's kind of like Friday the 13th or whatever. What kind of crazy death can we do this time? Well, I got a harpoon gun sitting around. All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
This is so funny. I mean, but it was a cool concept. It's like, oh yeah, they. Like, in my head, it was just kind of like, well, even if it was a nightmare, like, these irradiated, infected vampire people, like, they still kind of have some memory, because how else would they know to drive out to the middle of nowhere where they're camped?
Sure.
Like, get out and then just immediately kill them. They had to have some sort of, like, memory.
Right. Well, yeah, some sort of function to be able to, to swing an axe or,
Yeah, swing an axe, use a gun.
Plane.
Right, fly planes.
Well,
get out with the axe. Ah!
Yeah, the only part of that I was a bit confused by, going back to the beginning, was, like, after they've killed everybody, you notice that the pilots are laying there dead. Because they zoom in on them and they're dead. Mm-hmm. So it's like, so wait a minute. Were they dead? And, like, the infected were flying, or were the infected, like, holding them hostage, making them fly,
That's
and they killed them immediately?
I don't know.
Thing. And again, I'm putting too much logic into it. I'm thinking too logically. This is a nightmare again. So.
Sure, and a nightmare, anything goes, anything can happen. But I like to think that if they were hostage, if I was the pilot, I'd be like, fuck that, and I would just, like, drive straight down and blow, kill them all. So
yeah, I don't know. It was just one of those moments. Like, really? Okay. Yeah, there's like some weird illusions in it. Like the guy, the one military, like the general and his like hot girlfriend wife, and she's like,
oh yeah, the one that gave me hope for my future.
Like,
dude's like got to be in his late 50s, and this chick's in her 20s.
Oh yeah, she's like wanting it too. She is.
Lady stacked, and that's a fact.
Yeah.
Like, just how? You just see the two of them together, like, oh, this is gonna be a bad rape movie. You're like, oh wait, no, she's into. Well, they're married. Okay.
And then you're thinking he's got to have some kind of money.
Now I always remind myself, Bogart and Bacall, man.
True.
She was 19, he was like 42 or 43.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it can happen, but it's just like, for a moment there, I was like, oh, we're watching one of those bad Italian movies. I was like, no, she's into it. Okay.
She's got handcuffs, so no, she's into it.
But like she has that like weird, sculpture she's made that obviously looks like one of the meatball head like infected.
It's like she kind of knew what they look like.
Yeah, well, because she says something about like I saw it and it like affected me in a dream and something. It's like, oh, okay,
More
so
dream imagery.
Yeah, so again, because of that, I kind of think maybe they were aware of what they were doing.
Sure.
Again, it might be budget constraints. It might just be the director kind of being inept that it wasn't better. But for what it is, it's all right.
Yeah,
it was his first movie, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. That one I'd have to look up.
Because the scope and the scale of it's a little bit too big for, I would say.
Yeah, I can see that.
When you try to tackle something that, because there's multiple vignettes happening in the movie. You've got the two couples that escape off to the country. You've got the two main characters that are trying to escape. You've got the military thing going on the side there. You've got the two girls holed up in the villa.
Yeah.
So you've got all these things going, and not just as a director, which as an editor, because the movie unfortunately does fail in its editing, trying to keep track of those vignettes and the parallel editing between them. But as a director, you have to keep track of all those things. You have to be mindful at all times, not only of what's going on in the world while you're filming one particular scene, but also be mindful of what the audience is experiencing while you're doing that.
Sure.
If you lose track of that, if you get lost in the minutia of each scene, you start to lose track of the story as a whole. And I think that's what happened, is they got so lost in the minutia of trying to make each kill gory, of trying to make each thing more and more shocking, that they lost track of what the overall story was supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah, that might be a good theory that it was his first movie, but I'm just looking. This was his 45th movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we'll go with the first thing, failings as a director.
Yeah. Because I was thinking the same thing. Like maybe it's just like his first movie. Wasn't there? No.
45th.
Like he has quite a few on IMDb.
And that's the thing I will give Jer credit for. Jer was the director of Zombie Babies from Hell. He's got a lot of. At one point in the movie, we were juggling a lot of like plates in the air, like things that was going on with Zip, things that was going on in the town, like with the sheriff and stuff like that. And like, while to toot my own horn, it was quite a feat in the editing, but it was also Jer keeping track of what was happening in the town, what's going on with these characters, making sure that everybody understood like what the momentum of the story was. And sometimes when we were filming at some points years apart, keeping that momentum through that time going to keep the story together.
Oh yeah.
And like to hear that's that guy's 45th movie and he still hasn't got his shit together, like trying to juggle a story is a little heartbreaking.
Here's something I did notice. He did not write this one. He wrote quite a few of his movies.
But this one he did not.
This one he did not write. It was 3 different writers. So it makes me think maybe there was some last minute changes, some finagling going on. So yeah.
Wow.
If you've got 3 different writers, they were definitely altering the script probably while they were shooting.
Yeah, that's the most I can.
Probably all the way up to the last minute, probably.
Here's an interesting one. This is considered to be the very first horror movie with fast zombies, even though the undead are actually simply radiation sick. Yeah.
Well, just like 28 Days Later.
Sure.
It's a rage virus. They're not actually dead zombies. Well, some of them are dead-ish, but it's a virus that induces rage.
Sure. Yeah, well, we were just talking about that. What was it last episode?
I think so. We were
just
comparing
how fast it
because
contaminates you.
Yeah, in Demons, like you become a
demon
in less than it could be less than a few seconds getting scratched. It's about the same thing.
For 28 days, yeah.
That's a pretty good allegory for any kind of hard drug use too. Where
sure.
Anybody who's ever even just been under general anesthesia, how quick that kicks in.
It's very true. This was another one of those movies where you fast moving crowds. Demons had crowds of these fuckers running at you.
Yeah.
Well, Nightmare City, it had the meatball heads, the herds of meatball heads as the helicopter was flying overhead, moving like schools of fish or sharks.
Sure. Yeah, that was. Yeah. I thought that was a really good shot. I was actually impressed at that final scene. It just seemed like that finale was almost too good. Did they film that first and then just start working back?
And then we noticed that about the music too. We were talking about that.
The music.
The music starts out awful. It doesn't match the movie at all. It doesn't work.
Right.
As the movie progresses, the music
gradually gets better
and better and better.
So yeah,
it does.
I wonder if maybe they had started maybe at a certain point filmed it and then went, okay, now we need to film this stuff, and maybe their budget dropped or they lost somebody.
It could have also been a situation where they had to go back and do reshoots.
Sure.
Yeah, it definitely, soundtrack got better, it did. I was like, okay, this isn't too bad, actually, Yeah,
because it really starts out at one point, I think Aaron was like, dude, I think somebody's about fucking. This sounds like sex and music here.
Yeah.
Well,
and there...
some of those shots.
After the initial attack from when they come out of the airplane.
Yeah.
And there's those bodies laying everywhere, and it's almost like a happy, jaunty tune.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
It really
is. It's supposed to be sorrowful, but then by the time you get to the end, you kind of get that more driving synth, that deeper, darker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's definitely. You could tell it's getting to the finale. The way it was
if you start this movie and you're just kind of I don't know if I like this, you gotta sit it out.
Survive it.
Yeah, you gotta survive it.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're saying.
I would honestly say probably the last 20 minutes is probably worth it.
Yeah, oh yeah, just to get to that last 20 minutes till you're like, okay, they got a chance, they're gonna make it maybe. So.
And I do love the element of he wakes up and it was all a dream. A lot of times they're like, oh, that's the worst type of movie. Except that's exactly what we're working at here.
Sure.
And the fact that we suddenly go and oh shit, it's happening. Exactly like a dream.
It's really gonna
that's
happen.
even scarier in my eyes, kind of.
Like I said, at the very end when it stops, I'm just like, oh, the door's getting ready to open. So
yeah, and you're like, oh crap.
I'm looking for it. I'm looking for something to jump out. The door, and it's just they stop it right
Instead,
there.
we're gonna throw titles at you.
Although, again, wouldn't it be great if somebody was able to make a cut scene, how it should have ended is he's there, he just had this nightmare, the door opens and you just see Molotovs float in the door, fuck this!
How it should have ended, Tim Curry running around the airplane,
I know how this ends!
I know how this ends!
Just emulates the entire thing, and the military just turns around what?
They're sitting there scratching their heads with their little Uzis and shit. They're just like, what is going on?
Probably mega bad ending. He throws the Molotovs, blows up the plane, but the military turns around and blows him, mation guns him.
Yeah, it turns around and shoots him because he blew up the plane. Yeah.
At least I saved everyone.
We're alive. Shit.
There were some times of this, some of the faces these meatball heads make.
Oh my god. The stairs and everything else.
I could just imagine if they'd done the subtitling right on it, I could just imagine the little descriptive subtitling, stares intently.
They should have threw that in there.
I would have loved to have seen the making of this where the director's okay, now you come upon a very scantily clad woman with her breasts out. I want you to show me surprise, but anger.
Stare intently. We're going to crash zoom into your face. We're going to do this about 50 times.
Stare into space. It's just
now lick the blade.
Going on. Yeah. Well, you never know, man. It's like, what's the company? Scream Factory. they've been putting out low budgets, on Blu-ray
Sure.
and stuff. So it's like with all the extras. So we might get a Blu-ray released with commentary.
Hell, at this point, it might already exist, and we just didn't notice it.
We might have to look it up. But wouldn't that be funny to watch this with the director's commentary?
Oh god.
Or
it'd have to be subtitled. I don't think Umberto knew much English.
Yeah, and maybe some deleted
we're getting
scenes.
Commentary out of him, no, not now.
Not now. Well,
deleted scenes or extras or anything of that nature. But yeah.
I was
They
surprised.
did it for RoboCop 3. Enough said.
Yeah. I was actually surprised doing a little research on this, finding out the main character, the actor Hugo Stiglitz. The guy is still alive, surprisingly. Like because he looks like such an old man, but he was like born in, I think if I read correctly, like he was born in like 42. So
wow,
he wouldn't have been too.
He was a war baby.
Yeah, he wasn't too old. When
Still
in
kicking.
80, he would have, he wouldn't have been that. It's just that the beard and everything made
sure
ages him up drastically.
Sure.
80. If he was born in 42, it was 80, he'd be my age.
Yeah. So there you go. Like almost those 40s. Like yeah. Damn like, I wonder what he would have looked like without the beard. Like what he would have.
Probably would have looked like a baby.
Probably. That's probably where they're like, you need to put a beard
Just
on.
we can Photoshop it. Just kind of shave him.
It's not going to work because you're
We're
going to
gonna-
look like a 4-year-old.
We're going to mess with your hair like they did with Kevin Costner in Waterworld.
God.
We want to talk about bad.
Shit. Oh.
But yeah, overall, I mean, it was a fun experience watching it. Alas, I had to leave mid-view to go pick my girlfriend up. Not a big deal. I'd seen it before, so I was like, you guys just keep going.
Right.
But it was still fresh in my mind. I think I watched it like once and a half before because I started watching it and then I got like interrupted one time before, and then so this was like second and a half. So I've watched it two times officially.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, damn. Now I really wish Aaron would have watched Demons. Like we gotta watch Demons with them.
Yeah, we need to bust that back out. We gotta get Paul Arthur down here.
Oh,
Shout out to
God.
him, of course. Again,
We should get like a screening party together.
or
for
just
that one.
watch
Just
Demons
kidding.
1 and Demons 2.
Oh man.
Like I said, popcorn and everything.
Yeah, just as
The movies
much,
are that good and that's
as
silly.
much junk food because it's like it's kind of how I felt watching Dead Alive the first time. Like it's just so bug nuts that I'm just
Right.
loving every moment because it's
Right.
crazy.
I mean, that really is a good way to compare it. It really is.
Sure.
It's really over the top, like Dead Alive. It really
yeah,
is.
it's just if you start putting logic to it, you lose the fun of it.
Oh yeah, it's like that wouldn't really happen.
That
yeah,
movie-
of course.
Kind of in comparison with Nightmare City, like that one in Nightmare City, it's established that like the newscaster is going to be our main character, but in that movie, it's like
It's random.
it's just like okay, we're going through most of the movies thinking it's this girl, and then just like out of the blue, like 35 minutes in, all of a sudden, like the guy that you thought was kind of rapey, all of a sudden, this is our hero. Okay,
Rapey.
yes,
Just a little.
just a slight bit
Just
rapey.
a little, like, yeah.
And then all of a
But,
sudden, like he's like using a katana and riding a dirt bike through a movie theater.
He is. He's playing like Highlander on like a dirt bike. He really is.
I'm not making this up. This is like the finale of this movie. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Like,
it is. It's pretty good. It's pretty
Well,
good.
some movies deserve a dirt bike ending, and others, Star Trek, do not. Come on, Simon Pegg, a dirt bike? Really? Kirk rides a dirt bike. Star Trek Beyond to fight the bad guy.
I haven't
No.
seen it, but
I
I
was
know
gonna say
he
I
has
haven't seen it
issues.
yet, but
No.
but I know what I'm getting into
No.
now.
Bad.
It's always nice to see somebody else like get pissed off about a movie like that.
Well, the thing is you don't like Star Trek to begin with.
Right.
I love Star Trek, and it pissed me off.
I was just thinking this is kind of like how when we started talking with Paul on the last one where he started talking about rubber. I was like, oh fuck that movie.
Oh yeah, I was like,
love
have you
that
guing seen
movie.
that?
I
You seen
hate
that movie,
it
Rubber?
so much.
Oh.
Wow,
It's a pretentious
Let's-
piece of shit.
wow.
Yeah, it is.
See, he's telling he's not gonna lie to you.
But it takes like the Friday the 13th or the Halloween genres
Uh-huh.
and goes from a killer wearing a rubber mask to just a rubber object going around killing people.
Just, I think I watched it at the wrong time. Maybe maybe
yeah,
now I might be able to watch it and go, okay, I get it.
It's so self-aware of itself that it breaks the fourth wall.
That was the part that really frustrated me watching it. It was like, if this was just like spot on, like it's a horror movie with a tire, I might have been able to deal with it. But it was the fact it kept breaking the fourth wall and going, yeah, we're making a movie about a tire that kills people, and it's like, fuck you, don't do that. It just frustrated me.
I think also, like, if you're a fan of Monty Python, like...
I could see that, and I was. It just... I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
there's some
maybe the
Dadaism
mood
to it.
to watch it and everything. It's just one of those types of movies. And then there are those movies that, since this was made, a while ago, I wouldn't assume that this would be one of them. But so I've heard that movies get made today that they're so bad or whatever, it's just a tax write-off. I've heard of that.
Some movies are.
It can be.
I mean, that's how Uwe Boll has a career.
Oh, shit.
Some movies made in a studio system, the studio has to spend so much money.
Right.
And a lot of times that's how those movies get made. But usually that's like how those Meryl Streep Oscar vehicles get made. Like... It's like, hey, we've got to make a couple of Avenger movies here, and we've got to spend all this money, but in order for tax purposes or whatever, we have to spend umpteenth number and budget this, so we're going to go ahead and throw this at this project just to get this done. Like, so that way we can write it off as a loss for the year or whatever.
Right.
So, low-budget movies, like, here in Ohio, like, there isn't really much of a film commission here in Ohio, unfortunately. But they do have a tax credit for filmmaking.
Oh, cool.
Space Creeps was so low budget, I don't get to claim the tax credit. But essentially, up to 50% of what you spend in Ohio towards a film budget, you can claim back in taxes.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Which is why, like, the Bruce Willis movie was shot in Granville here.
Right.
That way, shot John Travolta shot a movie last year in Columbus. A bunch of stuff gets shot up in Cleveland. Usually it's like second unit exterior stuff, like Fast 8. They shot a bunch of exterior stuff up there.
Yeah.
Well, like the first Avengers, they did a bunch of stuff in Cleveland.
Yeah. A lot of their exterior shots was done up there because they were able to get a lot of that money back.
Yeah.
Just in tax write-off.
Huh.
Rightfully so. I mean, considering that's like $70 million they spent just to like do it. Yeah.
A lot of money, man. You know that.
Money that Nightmare City would never see.
What was the budget? Did you happen to see when you looked up?
I gotta look it up.
Because I always like to know this, like about movies, what it costs and then what it made back.
The problem with those is they're never really accurate, especially the older the movie gets.
Right.
Like, the IMDb page for Space Creep says I spent $500 for it. Because I rounded. Like, in all actuality, it was something like, after the advertising campaign on Facebook, something like $280 to $300.
Wow.
Wow. So it's kind of a game, like, as to what the budget is. A lot of it comes down to trying to figure out what your earnings are on the back end, so you can determine whether or not you're making a profit.
It doesn't even have like a budget.
I was going to say it's.
I would say probably less than $10 million.
Oh, definitely.
Well, it always blows my mind, and I bring up one of my favorite all-time movies. It always blows my mind because Hellraiser was made for under $1 million, and it's like today to have.
Well, Hellraiser was also a team of people who knew what the hell they were doing.
Yeah,
right.
And the people he knew, friends and whatnot as well. Yeah,
and when you have that limited budget, if you know what the hell you're doing, you can make a small amount of money look like a big amount of money.
Right.
If you're shooting it right, if you're editing it right, if the actors are hitting their mark right, like.
Sure.
So sometimes, a lot of times, these big budget movies, it's just Hollywood throwing money at a problem.
Oh yeah. You can tell.
It's that shot doesn't look right. Like there's a fly buzzing around somewhere. Well, we'll send it into DaVinci Resolve and erase that from the shot.
Right.
Well, that means you've got to pay some poor schmuck to sit at a computer and ingest that into the computer system. Some poor schmuck has to sit at another computer and track that and erase that in Resolve. Another schmuck's got to do what's called data wrangling, which is keeping track of all the frames and all the storage for it. And then a fourth schmuck has to render it out and send it back to editorial, where a team of about 4 to 5 schmucks have to edit it.
Wow.
So 10 people have touched that shot where a fly was buzzing around it,
and
and
they didn't like it. Yeah.
And that's where all that money starts going.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at some of like the movie posters for this. It's just crazy.
Oh, when I go to edit this and put up all the art and stuff, I'll have all the I'll have the movie posters and the flyers and the
that would be very cool.
And Booby. No, I'm just playing.
And Booby. Well, what's funny is on IMDb, I was going through just some of the pictures we're going through, and one of them was just a shot of all the girls in unitard like dancing. I lost, like I had to bite my tongue as you guys were talking. Because I was like, that should be like the front page picture. Of
that'll be the cover picture.
You remember how you felt when I introduced you to Flint Flossie?
Yeah.
Do you really want to do that to your audience?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, just put up like a poster of it. I don't want to do that again.
It's like, anyway, yeah.
But yeah, we're just hitting the hour mark now. That was good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it all around. I think some good points were made. Yet again, Aaron, Zombie Space Creeps.
Yeah, the Atomic Zombie Space Creeps on DVD on Amazon. Will be streaming through multiple services throughout the rest of the year and into the future.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a copy. We're gonna definitely do like a screening.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's screen it.
That'll be cool.
Fun.
We'll get a bunch of people in to watch it. I know, like my girlfriend wants to be here for it. Aaron's roommate, who was in the movie, would probably show up for it. It'd be great.
I know Paul. Arthur,
Paul.
He would love to be here, and if we can get him here and do it and everything. And so do you want to do? I was just having to think of this. Do you want to So what do you rate the movie? Do you want to do this?
Do you want to do it like out of 5?
Do you
5
want
stars?
like what would you give it or whatever?
I give it a 2.5.
Out of 5.
Out of 5. I can see what they were going for. There are moments that work. The effects that sometimes were great. It's entertaining. But again, it's kind of cheesy. There's moments that kind of take me out of it. And there are occasionally times, like, having watched it, like, almost 3 times now, I'm like, do we really have to go over this? Like, some of the characters, like, do we even really need them? We could have just randomly inserted somebody else just getting slaughtered. But at the same time, it has merit. So
sure,
I'd give it, again, 2.5. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I'll give it a solid 3. Just because I think of it as kind of classic. It's part of the old Italian scene.
Sure.
A lot of the effects look pretty good. And and it has its really funny moments. So I would rather watch that than a lot of newer films. So
sure.
So yeah, definitely.
On a scale of 1 to aliens, I'd give it an Ishtar.
Certainly isn't aliens.
Oh, let's talk about aliens. Perfect movie.
Yeah, it is the perfect movie. On a scale of 1 to 5, I'd actually probably only give it like a 1.5. I would have given it more had it been the director's first or second movie, but when you said 45th,
that is funny in itself.
By then, you should probably know your way around a plot.
Now, granted, those might have been TV movies or TV shows,
yeah, it didn't specify,
episodes. It doesn't really specify.
Those might have been really, really short films.
But still, there's a certain learning curve you get every time.
You do something enough, whether it's drawing, painting, doing music, doing films. Right. It's in there. You should know what you're doing by that point.
Just just the difference in what I've learned from going from zombie babies to space creeps, and then now going into pre-production on the next one. The fact that he had 45 chances and we got Nightmare City out of it, 1.5 stars.
That's fair. I'm sure
I respect that.
And I'm sure one of the reasons it got a half was just for the boobs.
The makeup effects helped too. Like some of the makeup effects
and boobs.
Some of the makeup effects also took away from it, like the burnt hot dog faces.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
There are some moments in this movie where you're just like,
head
wow.
scratchers, yeah.
Like, you know, the Romero or Savini, I think, talked about, like, you know, you would have your featured zombie, which you'd have, you know, maybe 2-3 hour makeup, and then you'd have,
sure,
like, your kind of crowd zombies that he'd spend, like, 20-25 minutes on, so not as much detail, and it just felt kind of like...
Each one was the 20-minute.
Yeah, it's like, this is really your featured zombie?
That's one of my biggest regrets with Space Creeps, is we just didn't have the time to put into doing really bang up makeup for the zombies, and so really all we did was just take some black cream Halloween makeup right around the eyes, and a little bit around the bridge of the nose to make the noses look sunk in, and for the most part it just looks like somebody either got bit by a radioactive raccoon or got punched in the face.
But you know what?
You know, this movie, the guys kind of look like they just like, what do we have on the catering table today?
Yeah.
Okay, just dunk in there for a second.
Some of them look like old rubber balls. Like
they
do.
Just
stretch rubber balls over people's faces.
Those Faces of Death movies where they show people, you know, obviously they're all different sorts of things, but people getting killed. Well, it looks like there was a big dumpster fire and they all crawled out of it. And that's what the result was.
What did you say? Because the first person that gets off the plane is like the doctor that was working on this experimental thing. What did you call him? Like, didn't somebody said something was like, oh look, it's like President Grant or something?
Yeah, President Grant, yeah.
And I lost it.
Like an amalgam of the actual President Grant and the President Grant from Wild Wild West, the TV series.
Oh god. Now you mentioned it, now that makes perfect sense to me. But at the time, I just was like, confused. But at the same time, it was just so random. I started laughing. It's true. Like the guy, like I really think that they might have just been better off just having the zombies attack, because that guy coming out, it's like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, we gave him too much credit. Like, after hearing Aaron's reasoning, I'm like, wow, maybe I shouldn't have given it one.
It's got a certain charm to it. It really does. It has its moments.
I think that it'll be interesting, though, Aaron seeing, like, Demons and Demons 2, because there's actual craft going on there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's way fucking over the top, of course, but it is very...
The effects are sometimes amazing.
Oh, yeah, and like, like a lot of the ooze and stuff, it looks like it's what it's supposed to be, you know.
There are
it looks
scenes,
real grungy and...
There's like a scene in the second one where it's just like a darkened, like, hallway. Or, no, it's like a darkened, like, parking garage. And you can just see, like, hordes of these people running just willy-nilly. And their eyes are glowing. Like cat's eyes, and there's like yellow and there's red, and it's scary.
Yeah, it really is. It kind of reminds you of the way they looked in Demon Knight, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight.
What year was?
I think we're like the first one was like 84, 85.
Okay.
Second one was like 86, 87.
Yeah, it was 86 because House was 87.
Okay.
Not computers, and definitely too early for a roto job.
No, and I was looking it up. It's all practical.
So probably like reflective tape and shit.
Sure, but it works, and it works effectively.
Oh, it looks good. Yeah, it looks scary.
It's actually like the story is the only part of that that's really kind of lacking. It's like everything else is like, oh shit.
Well, you know, it's said the Italians kind
of
lack,
yeah.
but
well, and it's Dario Argento produced both of them. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
A fun low budget one to do a post-mortem, like as a filmmaker, a post-mortem on is The Evil Dead. Like last night.
Oh yeah.
It's one of those movies I could just go on forever about, like, and I almost did last night, but decided not to. But just how well done it is. Like you're comparing it to something like Nightmare City, the effects there and what they were working with on what is probably a much larger Italian crew.
Sure.
Versus a very low budget crew.
Oh yeah,
with,
few people.
With Evil Dead.
Yeah,
and we're talking about movies that were made right around the same time period as well.
Right,
absolutely.
Right.
And while Evil Dead suffers some for its budget and its image quality because it was shot on a grainier 16mm film and kind of gets that gritty look to it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I had mentioned last night was there's a shot where a young woman's running through the woods and the camera is following her. And this was shot without a Steadicam because in 1980-81, Steadicam had just come out. Like, the technology was still new, and could only be afforded by the highest level of productions like Empire Strikes Back and things like that. They could bigger productions could afford it. So Sam Raimi, they had to come up with a way of shooting a stabilized camera because he didn't want to do handheld. Because handheld, the camera jerks around; it's impossible to see what's going on.
Sure.
So they came up with a way of just rigging it basically to boards, just that could hold it. The thing is when you're shooting in the dark, you have to really open up your lens to do that, and that really shallows your focus down. So you move just a few inches away or from the camera, and you start to fall out of focus. And shooting in the dark, they had to open it all the way up. On top of that, when you're running for any extended distance, light falls off quickly. I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this thing something about the inverse square law. Like light falls off very quickly from its source, which means that run had to be lit. And it had to be lit consistently so that the camera could see what was going on. But the entire time she's running, she's in focus the whole way. So some poor schmo had to run with that camera, keeping her framed in the shot.
Wow.
Without any video assistance, because they didn't have video assistance for what they were doing. So some poor schmo had to keep that in frame, and some poor schmo had to keep that in focus the whole time.
Wow.
That is artistry.
Yeah.
Like, for a low-budget horror film that they may have thought nobody was ever going to see.
They worked their asses off.
They worked their asses off,
for
and
sure.
there's a lot of artistry just in that shot alone that shows the care that they took in making that movie.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of, like you said, it's kind of interesting to go, okay, 1980 we had Nightmare City on one hand. We also had Evil Dead. I think more people are aware of Evil Dead and have seen Evil Dead, and there's a reason for that.
Right, and that is that level of artistry. Nightmare City is almost like a throwaway.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, you're only going to know about it unless you go deep into the rabbit hole, you know.
It was just a fluke. Like, I was looking for something to watch one afternoon, and I was just like, this is kind of weird. I need to bring this up to the guys.
Sure, yeah.
That's a good way to kind of, like, end it on that. It's just like, you think this might be your kind of movie? Well, does it stack up to Evil Dead same year? Not really.
No. I mean, entertaining, entertaining. But
and that's where it gets its 1.5 star entertaining.
It's entertaining. It's definitely not. If it was on like the Gore Fest like DVD set that we used to watch, we'd be like, okay, it's probably a watchable one. It's not one of the oh god, why did we spend our time on this? But yeah,
seen some of those.
Well, yeah.
It's like, I can't, just got to turn it off. It's like, I can't.
I think the best thing, and granted it'll never happen because they don't really go for, like, the R-rated stuff, I think this would live perfectly on, like, an MST3K. Like, I could see them riffing this.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Just
definitely.
They don't tend to do, like, the actual, like, gore and violence and, like, nudity. So that would probably, like, shy them away. But I could totally see, Tom Servo and Crow, like, totally riffing on this one.
Is there anybody that does do that stuff?
Like gorier?
The gorier type stuff? Because I'm thinking, and I'm like, I don't know, but you know more about it.
I think, like, riff tracks, they'll do pretty much anything for the most part, but I'm not sure on that one. Like, don't quote me. I know that they'll go a little more, like, newer movies. Like, I know they've done, like Samurai Cop and stuff like that.
Okay.
But MST3K seems like they're still keeping back to more like 50s, 60s stuff.
Yeah, they do a lot of the older type films and whatnot.
It works for them, but
it does. It works for them.
That would be an easy one they could have riffed. I mean, I could just hear them talking about meatball heads like we did. not hard not to.
It would have to be uncensored too, because all of a sudden it'd be like, what the fuck? As soon as I got off the airplane, all of them, the puppetry and him,
As much as I talked smack about Evil Dead last night and the cottage cheese or whatever else they were using for guts and body parts, it's still better than meatball heads.
Right.
That's probably my final word on Nightmare City.
It's like Aaron said, they had, the cast was, the crew was smaller, where to this it was bigger, but they worked their ass off, on it for a few people, Sam Raimi.
Like Sam Raimi's first or second directorial attempt. This was this guy's 46.
Yeah, Raimi's first feature.
First feature.
Right. I gotta tell you, jumping from a short film to a feature is two completely different animals. It's going from white men can't jump playing basketball to moonshot. Like, it's a huge difference.
Sure.
So for that to be Sam Raimi's first feature is...
And to have it be a classic,
Oh, yeah.
like that.
Right.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby at all. But, talking down, bad about this movie or whatever, I still enjoyed it. It was entertaining.
It was fun, yeah.
It's not a perfect movie, but if you like low-grade B horror movies...
Rated Ishtar.
If you rated it on the 3 movies we've reviewed so far, House 2, Demons 2, Nightmare City, it's definitely the lowest of the 3.
It's the lowest, absolutely, it is. It is. Because,
I think
even with those other 2 movies, they had really good people. Well, not to say that this didn't, but they had really good people working on these other 2 films, and they just had a character about them.
That should be the running joke of Fiend Film Club, is that, like, something is at the very like the lowest rated of it, and like anytime
it's kind of like the radio, our local radio station, like, does Choose It or Lose It, like something drops, like for the week.
Nightmare City is nowhere.
This is up here now. It's way the fuck down here. It's like Nightmare City is probably gonna stay down here.
It's down there until we watch something even worse, and then that'll get dropped off. Like,
next time we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see what we got. There's always, and the thing is, there's always movies out there. There's always B-rated stuff to watch. So
we'll watch Robot Monster and be like, oh god.
There's nothing.
Sharknado.
Not the second one. That one's the toughest to get through. My god. It's just like, I do want to gouge my eyes out. I really do.
Robocroc versus Sharktopus or something.
That is actually better than Sharknado 2.
Yeah.
I watched that one night on Sci-Fi.
If it's got a shark in it, I'll watch it.
Yes.
What was the one?
Avalanche, Sharkaland, the sharks come
Trailer Park Shark Attack. I watched one afternoon. That was actually entertaining.
Yeah.
They can be, and it's like they know that the special effects are going to be like cheesy and bad. Mm-hmm. That's the point of it, though.
Yeah, we knew that going into Zombie Day, because that the effects were going to be
sure.
bad and laid up to it.
Sure. So, all right. As always, please listen to us, share us, questions, comments, anything. We'd love to hear from our listeners.
Yeah, I want to. I'm going to post the trailer, of course. If I can find the film on YouTube or whatever, I'll post a link for the film as well. Because, like I said, Demons 2 is up there. House 2 was up there.
We'll also put up. You know what? We'll get a trailer for Zombie Space Creeps.
Absolutely, I'll do a trailer for that. We'll put that
if you got a link or anything that they can get to buy it on Amazon or something, that'd be awesome.
Do that too. I'll put some links up for that to Amazon or whatever and.
I mean, just listening to this guy, he knows his stuff about movies.
Oh hell yeah!
So.
I actually learned a few things. That's just like with the camera trick you told in. For Evil Dead, I didn't, some of the stuff I didn't know.
Yeah.
So I learned something new today. So it's always cool to learn shit. So.
Well, we can really rip apart Space Creeps when we watch it.
Oh no! Don't say that.
But I think we're gonna wind it down now.
Okay.
As always, a fun time.
I just want to say, give a shout out to Cauterize too for letting us still use the theme.
Yeah.
They're one of their songs for the theme. So. It's pretty awesome that they do that. I want a free hoodie though. They have hoodies and shirts now. Come on, How much do I talk them up, and how many times do I use this song?
If you send us hoodies, Richard and I will both wear them, and then like that'll be our like cover page is us wearing the hoodie.
It'll be the cover page, and I'll just wear that. I won't wear pants.
Now you're not getting one. It was like for a second they were like,
I'll take a hell of a lot of photos.
No. Lost.
No, I'm just joking. No, seriously. Yeah, I want a hoodie, and I'll wear that shit everywhere until support you guys. But anyway, yeah, I just want to give you guys a shout out. And anything else you want to add?
Nothing I can think of. We'll be recording more regularly. Thank you, Aaron, for
thanks for our guest. It was
hopefully
awesome.
we'll have you back a few more times.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah, we should.
That's why we do it. It's so damn fun.
Yeah, it is. It's comical.
So until next time, I'm just gonna say, as always, stay frosty.
Stay frosty, and I'm gonna say to stay metal. And
peace.
That's it. Thanks. And then there's silence. And I can't get to the button.
We can't hit the button.
Where the hell is it?
We've got
I'm leaving this all in, by the way.
Extra inning.